And now you can hear me. Bro, like the technical difficulties I was having, it's like Nets world, the universe did not want me to hit this pod, but I'm gonna hit this pod because I gotta talk to y'all. Like I gotta speak some truth to y'all. So let me get a pic so people know I'm live here. And we will start within the next minute. Thank y'all for waiting and joining. Obviously took me a minute right here, but you know, I got a ton going on. I'm trying to balance everything, really. Trying to fit everything in one day. I mean, and closing the week is Friday now. Let me see. Get some people in the chat if I tweet this out. That might help. Tweet. Okay. Now we're live. And let me get this YouTube link. I want to know if they understand me. I put it all on A, ain't no plan B. La da 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 da. All right, I mean, copy this and paste to Twitter, and I gotta remember tweet it from Talking Nets and then retweet it from my personal account. And we'll see if anybody wants to talk Nets today. I'm down. Not really down, though. My computer was down. Like, nothing wanted to work. Give me 1 second. Yeah. Okay. Got voicemails. Let me see something here. All right. 3:40. Good time to start. Be done by like 4:30. I didn't screen these voicemails, so let me make sure they're straight. If any of them don't seem like there's, I try to tell y'all keep these voicemails under a minute, but I know y'all ain't listening. All right, let's do it. From the top, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Yeah. See some other people in the chat. Still repping my Nets. 7 is back. Just didn't get a win last night, but that's okay. We're going to talk about it right now. Talking Nets, episode 154. Keith McPherson joining you on Friday, the day after Kevin Durant's return was spoiled by the Miami Heat. They're pretty good. Well coached. Got a ton of players with a ton of talent, and they've been winning for years. Respect to their culture off the top. I just needed to tip my cap to what they do in Miami. They knew they could sit Jimmy Butler. They could sit PJ Tucker. Didn't need Kyle Lowry because the Nets aren't a good team right now, even with the best player in the world. It's going to take time for the Nets to become a good team again. There's 2 seasons in one here. There's the season that we had before the deadline, and now it's this small season that we have after the deadline. And there's still a month and some change right here for this team to get better. And I believe that they can. No, I'm not blind with my optimism, but we'll talk about a few things today that make me believe it's right now. That's why the title is It's Now, Not Next Year, Nets. You don't just throw away a year. You don't just waste a year. Not in the Kevin Durant era. So, I don't know. Maybe you listen to me and you might feel a little differently. That's what this podcast is for. Talking Nets. Let's get it. Yes, sir. Welcome back to Talking Nets, episode 154. Keith McPherson solo again. Just don't have the time to be booking guests. I will, but especially in these trying times, I want to put together a good show, a good pod. Not knocking any of my past guests at all, but sometimes people aren't ready to pod. People might not have the same setup. Well, definitely not the same setup as me, but might not have a setup that is ready to be live streaming on YouTube with a good camera and a good microphone. Sorry for the delay, YouTube. The issues I was having was setting up my camera and my microphone. Took a little while, but we're here. We're good. And for the podcast listeners, shout out to y'all. Appreciate the podcast still growing. The download's still growing. I don't have the time to clip the episodes like I used to do. What I mean by clip episodes, I used to have segments clipped and put out on social media. So it could be a segment about me talking about Ben Simmons, and that catches some people's eye, and then that brings people to the podcast. We have built a community of Nets fans that listen to Talking Nets, and it's still growing. Not just on the podcast, on YouTube as well. I appreciate y'all so much because that is what I do this for. There's no money generated from Talking Nets yet. There will be. But what I do this for is because I love the Nets fans. I love this Nets world that was built and this community that we have. I just know that in a few years from now, when our fan base is stronger, when we do eventually, have our run to the finals, whenever that is, it's going to all make sense. So shout out to everybody in the chat, keeping the chat going too. You guys have been chatting since like 2:31 was the first message in the chat. And I think I just put the link live at like 2 o'clock. So let's not bury the lead. Let's get into it. There's one thing that you really got to know from today and that everybody's talking about today. And I will go ahead and play that for you. Hopefully you can hear it on the podcast. Mayor Adams spoke. Listen to this.
Kyrie Irving, will he be able to play in the world?
As of now, under existing rules, he cannot.
Mayor, can you explain how is it fair that an unvaccinated tourist from Indiana or Oklahoma or wherever, starting Monday, can go to whatever restaurant they want, whereas an unvaccinated firefighter or EMS worker who lost their job doesn't get their job back? How is that fair?
Well, there was clear, this went to court, this was ruled, and how we determine fair and unfairness is in the court of law. The court of law said it's fair, and so we're going to follow the laws. It's fair. That's what the court of law said. That's the country we live in, where the court of law said this was fair, and that's what we're doing.
Could have, just as you're rolling back key to NYC, you could reinstate the people who lost their jobs.
And here's the problem by doing so, which we wrestled with. We don't know if another variant is coming. And so when we tell New Yorkers this must be put in place to save lives, New Yorkers trusted us. And the overwhelming number of New Yorkers, city employees, did the right thing. Overwhelming number. And it sends the wrong message to those New Yorkers who stated that even if I was reluctant, I'm going to follow the rules. That is what we are doing. We can't send the wrong message that when we say something, we're going to change and vacillate. That is what was stated. People understood, particularly those who took the job with that understanding. We have people who took the job with the understanding and refused to comply. And so the information was clear. People have to comply with the rule.
All right, Eric Adams. Let me translate this for you guys as best as I can in my own terms. When he talks about these rules, right? I think I put a tweet out recently. I said, who made this rule book? These rules can be dropped. There's no need for these rules now. It's like having rules to protect you against something that doesn't exist. Well, there's this mandate for the boogeyman, and if the boogeyman is under your bed by a ½ inch, we will protect you against the boogie. It's stupid. It makes no sense. You're not protecting anyone. I see right through the nonsense. What this has become is two things. On the one side, there is the 1,400 New York City firefighters, workers, whatever, that lost their jobs after having about a year to get the shot, to get vaccinated. I had to get vaccinated to do what I do, Most of us have to get vaccinated to do what we do. All of us are not Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving does not have to take a shot to play basketball. He signed up to play basketball. He didn't sign up to inject himself with a vaccine that you no longer need. Seems like Kyrie Irving survived the last year without getting a shot. And now we are stepping into a future where when Eric Adams talks about, we don't know if there's going to be another variant. Yes, you do. There is science out there that can tell you that this Omicron variant, that was pretty much the last one that could spread where the city could be infected and we'd have to shut the city down. That's all this dude talks about, is being scared that he'd have to shut the city down. Well, letting Kyrie Irving play basketball is not going to shut the city down. Letting Kyrie Irving play in Brooklyn is not going to infect anyone or get anyone sick. Letting Kyrie Irving play in Brooklyn, though, will upset the people that are mad about folks losing their jobs that worked in this city and chose not to get the vaccine. Those people chose, right? You got to know what position you're in. Kyrie Irving knew he was in the position where he didn't have to make that decision to play basketball, right? It wasn't required. There were other players in the NBA unvaccinated that were playing. So Kyrie Irving knew, oh, okay, Adam Silver isn't exactly saying that all NBA players have to be vaccinated. Adam Silver is deferring to the city ordinances. Kyrie Irving didn't invent COVID. Kyrie Irving didn't invent the mandate. Kyrie Irving didn't invent the vaccine. His decision did hurt the team. But that decision was a health decision. And that decision he stood on, and I still think he can win. There are prominent people speaking out against this. This is Jerry Recco, who I work with at The Fan. As soon as the information came out last week about the private sector mandate preventing unvaccinated employees like Kyrie Irving from remaining in place, Recco said, none of this makes sense. Someone else said, the mayor says there are no plans at the moment to lift the private sector vaccine mandate. That's the one that's keeping Kyrie from playing at Barclays. Well, even though there's no plan for it, that doesn't mean that plans can't change. Next week, you are going to see unvaccinated people living their lives in the city doing everything. Why is one man not allowed to do his job? His job. And I say that to say this. It's a fight. Kyrie has been fighting this the whole way through because it's been bullshit the whole way through. The vaccine never cured anyone. The vaccine never made anyone immune. The vaccine was used to bring numbers down. And you know what? Eric Adams said a lot of people did the right thing. Yes, we did, Eric Adams. A lot of us rolled our sleeves up and got the shot. The right thing. I have a real problem with it being labeled the right thing. Sure, it's the right thing to do for your fellow man. It's the right thing to do for humanity. But it feels like the wrong thing to do to force people against their will to take shots. And I know people are going to listen to this podcast and are probably in the chat right now. I'm not looking at the chat saying, it's a vaccine, bro. You got to get vaccinated for everything. Well, you did not have to get vaccinated for the NBA. So what are we actually talking about? Now we're talking about a nonsense rule that is in place to make an example out of one Kyrie Irving. They're going to make an example out of him because he chose against the mandate. And it seems like he is a rich and famous celebrity choosing to say, I don't have to comply. I don't have to do what you regular folks have to do. And I think enough of us have followed Kyrie. I think enough of us are fans of Kyrie and have seen Kyrie long enough to know that's not his body. That's not his character. But the way he lives his life, he felt like he didn't need that vaccine to survive this thing. And he didn't. You know, there's so many layers to this. A lot of us were forced to take the vaccine. And Eric basically said that, you know, even if people were hesitant, he said, they still did it. Well, Kyrie was in a position where he's like, listen, man, I've made all the money that I can make. He even said on his Twitter, 7 generations of his family can eat off the money that he makes. This too shall pass. Kyrie is very worldly, spiritual, religious, some may say. And what he knows is his faith in God is paramount. All of this stuff is man-made. There's conspiracies about the virus being man-made. But all of this stuff, this vaccine that was cooked up instantly in a few months. These mandates that were thrown together, which were nonsense. They never made sense. They were thrown together really to divide and to pressure people into getting the shot. Well, it worked. Now stop the bullshit. Drop the rules. And I don't say drop the rules just for basketball. It is entertainment. It is a game. I say drop the rules for all of the people in this country that aren't vaccinated. And specifically New York City, because there are places in this country where they're not vaccinated and they're good. There are places in this country where they didn't adopt these ridiculous rules. But since New York City is a port for the entire world, since New York City is filled with millions of people, we have to be extra cautious. But the extra caution starts to seem bogus when you're holding back one man from doing his job, and that same one man could buy a ticket to go watch his coworkers do the job 5 feet away from them, but he can't be on the floor. So that to me makes this all seem like bullshit. That to me makes this all seem like it's them trying to make an example out of Kyrie Irving, like, oh, well, if any of you other celebrities or influential or rich people ever want to stand up against the government, this is how you'll be treated. Kyrie Irving, I do believe, gets out of this. And I say that because there is a lot of stuff out there that they're going to fight. So, I mean, this is just another tweet. So Kyrie can be a spectator at Nets home games, but can't play in them. Common sense is an afterthought in today's day and age. And it is actually so sad. After what we went through, we're coming up on 2 years since they suspended the NBA, right? It was March 11th, the night of March 11th. I'll never forget it. I think it was Jazz and Oklahoma City Thunder. And they suspended that game because Rudy Gobert tested positive. For some reason, the Nets right now are without their head coach because the NBA is still testing for COVID. Why? I have no clue. I have no clue. The NHL isn't testing for symptoms. The NFL said, we're done. We dropped all COVID protocols. There's no need to stay stuck on stupid. Please move forward. Please march forward in this month of March. Let's see what else we got here. So the glue guys were kind of getting Twitter going, and I didn't mean to jump in that, but I literally was like, I'm not going live yet because it was after 3. I said I was going live at 3. I was trying to get my whole setup. But the glue guys were, Mike and Brian are smart. I know that, Mike acts like he's not smart, but they read and they try to find everything that they can find to figure this thing out, to find a loophole. And the glue guy said, I don't want to create a firestorm here, but reading the mayor's press release from today's announcement seems to indicate that other COVID mandates, as in the private employer one restricting Kyrie Irving from playing at home, is now up to employers to decide what to do. Okay, folks, you're still following me. You're still following me. Kyrie's employers, the Brooklyn Nets, Joe Tsai, it's on them to fight this, as well as Sheila Irving, the first black woman to ever represent a player in the NBA. Congratulations, that's news. Kyrie Irving has his stepmom representing him now. They got to fight this, and I think they will fight this month. And like I said, next week you will see people in New York City unvaccinated allowed to be. Right? This segregation of unvaccinated and vaccinated, I'm tired of it. It makes no sense. It's stupid at this point. We're not helping anybody. We're not saving anyone. Omicron has passed. You guys just got to see through the political bullshit. And I've seen through it for a while because I'm not into politics. Okay, I showed y'all that already. Let's move on here because I don't have a lot of time. The next thing I really wanted to hit on, unfortunate news. Joe Harris is out for the season with an ankle injury. Well, we've known that he had the ankle injury. Now it's confirmed that Joe will be out for the season with the surgery. He's shut down, and it sucks because I don't know what his future holds. I don't know if he'll be back. I don't know if he gets traded. I don't know how long he's going to take to rehab. I think they said 4 to 6 months, but he cannot help us this year when I feel like we desperately needed the help of Joe Harris. It's I don't know what to say about it. It's honestly just frustrating because I feel like the Nets did not do a fair job communicating with the fans and with, through the media, I guess, just about like his status and what was going on. I have a problem with how the Nets handled this because, in my humble opinion, it took too long. And I just think that they made a mistake with, the handling of Joe Harris and this injury. And I had really wanted to see Joey Buckets have a revenge tour this year, right? We all remember how last season ended, and it sucks. But, like, I think that's going to be the lasting image of Joe Harris as a Brooklyn Net. And that's so trash, yo. Like, I hate it had to be Joey. Like, the last of the Mohicans, I was saying, you know, he is. And I don't know anything about the Mohicans. I think my wife heard me say that about him on the radio, and she's like, I don't think that's politically correct. I don't think you can say that. And I was like, I really don't care. Like, I don't even know what the Mohicans are. Is it an Indian tribe or something? Like, I meant no disrespect. I promise. I meant no disrespect. But either way, let's move on. More injury news, more injury updates. Next up, right? So these are all things that, like, the Nets need to happen now, right? It's now, not next year, Nets. Well, at least we got info on Joey Buckets. He's out. Kyrie Irving, we're still waiting to figure out if he's full-time or not. And some of y'all need to be reminded that he's still going to play on the road and that the Brooklyn Nets wanted him back, right? It's been a couple months now. I know people forget. People want to tear this man down and completely hate on him, right? He's a bad teammate. He's an irresponsible teammate. He ruined the season for the team. If the team felt like that, they wouldn't have him around. He wouldn't be in the locker room. He wouldn't be at practice. He wouldn't be on flights. He wouldn't be with the team, yo. Just stop the nonsense. It's the same nerds that are going to be like, oh my God, Kyrie Irving. They're going to watch Kyrie in Boston this weekend. They're like, Kyrie is ridiculous on the floor. Never seen no creativity. Like, shut up. I swear y'all are lame. I swear y'all are so lame. It's like, bro, give it a break. Like, Kyrie did not invent the COVID virus. He did not invent the vaccine, the mandates. This guy just said, listen, I'd rather not do that. And he's not like y'all. And I know that's hard to comprehend or understand. Like, when you get to a certain level, you don't have to do what everybody else has to do. Now let's hit this Ben Simmons clip. Sean Marks gave us an update on Ben.
Sean, what's the latest on Ben Simmons and when he could possibly return to the floor?
Yeah, unfortunately, his back stiffness has delayed his ability to get on the court with his teammates. So he's been rehabbing this last sort of week to 10 days, and then now he'll progress throughout this week with some individual workout. Hopefully, by the end of next week, he's getting more into the team environment, and then we can really ramp up and start him getting into sort of game shape and so forth. So, although there's no real timetable, we've got to take it day by day and see how he responds, and hopefully sooner the better. We need to again get this group together and get minutes together on the court.
All right. Well, you heard it from Sean Marks, and I know, like I'm saying, you know, some people are just slow or not getting their information or whatever. Like, I literally in the chat saw someone say, oh, Ben Simmons not going to play. And I'm like, they just told you he's going to be ramping up next week. And I don't know if y'all realize what's going on. And, yeah, Cakes Boo in the chat says, ramp up, sick of that. Yeah, we all are. These are the ramp-up Nets. I wish they had a better term, but they just use the same terms when they're talking to the media. Like, it's all nonsense, y'all. You guys know what's coming up on the schedule. Take a look. Okay? We've got the Celtics Sunday at 1 o'clock with Kyrie and with KD playing together for the first time since, I think, the Chicago Bulls game. Then we've got the Hornets in Charlotte. They'll both be able to rock down there. Need to win both of those games, but the Celtics have been hell. Like, I don't know if y'all been watching the Celtics. They are good. They have a great coach who used to be on our coaching staff, Ime Udoka. Probably should have hung on to him. They also lost Jaylen Brown, but it didn't matter, right? They lost Jaylen Brown in the game the other night. They still came back and beat the Hawks. They just have enough guys, enough defense, and they have a superstar in Jason Tatum. They get it done. But, yeah, back to the schedule. Sixers game is why we haven't seen Ben Simmons. And I think it's obvious, but I don't mind explaining on the podcast. If you have a player that was traded from a team and that player speaks on his mental health publicly and claims that through the last couple years of playing with that team, he was in a dark place, his mental health was unstable, why would you force him into that environment and make that his first game he plays as a Brooklyn Net? That could scar the guy for the rest of his tenure as a Brooklyn Net. So what do you do instead? And I think I said this on the last podcast. I'm a baseball guy. You put him on the IL. It's that simple. He's on the 10-day IL. March 1st, they asked Sean Marks what's going on. He's on the 10-day IL. And he's going to come off the IL the day after, March 11th, the day after we go down to Philly and play the last game against the Sixers. Hopefully, KD and Kyrie can handle them boys, and we'll be fine with that. But Ben Simmons doesn't need to play in that game. 2 reasons. Like I just gave you the first one, his mental health and I don't know, any PTSD or trauma that he might have from playing down there in Philly. You know what their fans are going to do. They literally sell shirts of him on a dick. They call him a dickhead. That's a Philly slang. That's Philly. Like, that's what they do. They literally sell shirts with missing person and his face on it. There was rumors about fans showing up to his house. So why would you throw that man into the fire there? He is our property now. He's our investment now. We need to be careful with him. And we are. So you tell the world, oh yeah, his back. His back. Bros, I got a chair in here. I got this for my back. This is vibrates, right? I got this for my back. I also got this for my back. Cushion. Feel me? No back problems. I'm 33. I'm a grown-ass man. Ben Simmons is 25. When y'all get up there in age, you're going to remember this podcast because I'm going to tell you, when I was under 25, I didn't ever feel any back soreness, lower back pain. When I started working in the city at age 26, 27, I threw my back out at 27 running to the subway. I hit like a dip in the curve or a dip in the curb wrong. Boom. And the pain shot up in my back. My lower back was not good ever since then. I'm in a good place now. But what I'm saying is 25-year-old dudes don't have back soreness conditioning. So if you bought that, 1, congratulations, you played yourself. And 2, if you don't see through the strategy of not playing Ben Simmons in Philly, I don't know what to tell you. There's no need to, secondly, the first reason was his mental health. The second reason is there's no need to show our hand. There's no need to show our hand. That's simple. If we're planning on rolling into the playoffs with Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Ben Simmons, Andre Drummond, Seth Curry, Bruce Brown, Dragic, whatever, why not keep working and keep practicing and get a couple games at the end? These are NBA players, right? People think that they need a whole year to be able to play together. No, a year does build chemistry. A year does build the cohesiveness. I spoke about it on the radio last night, that there are teams like the Heat that have been playing together all year. Some pieces have come in and out, but they are cohesive units. The Bucks, cohesive unit. Those guys have been playing together for a couple years. They know what each other are going to do before they do it. The Nets last night, they didn't know what anyone was going to do. If you watched on defense, it was embarrassing. And then Dragic came out and told y'all, oh, Spo tricked us. That boxing one, that zone, bruh, this is the NBA. Figure it out. Jacques Vaughn, help him figure it out. Steve Nash, I'm glad that you weren't there because now they can't blame that shit on you. The last three losses go to JV. The last 3 losses go to Jacques Vaughn. All right, as we proceed here, hit Kyrie and that nonsense, which I think will be resolved because they're going to fight it. The fight is at the last rounds. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, all right. This is the last round, y'all. The last round is you removed all of the rules, and the rule still applies to him. Nah. We're going to knock that down. We'll knock that right out. We hit Joe Harris. Happy trails, Joe. Joey Buckets, man. I'll never forget, man. I used to call Joey Fundamental. I used to call him Broadway Joey, too, because he had the fundamental game, sometimes Joe Harris would go in his bag. Everybody thinks he's shooting a 3. Nah, he might hit the floor. Hit you with a lay. He had a couple tricks in his bag, man. And I used to call him Broadway Joey because before we had all these superstars, when the lights were bright and we were late in games, who was coming through for the Nets? Who was hitting shots for the Nets when we needed them to? Joey Buckets. But you know what? We went the superstar route. Nets fans, I know you're not used to this. I'm not used to this myself, but I watch enough sports and basketball to understand. We went the superstar route. All these trials and tribulations, this is what comes with having superstars. This is what comes with chasing a title and being in that mix of the title contenders. Even though we are 8th, we are still a title contender because we have guys that have won championships on this team. We have superstars, all-stars on this team. We have veterans on this team. It's now, not next year. It's now, not next year. And do not get me confused because a lot of people are like, you're too optimistic, bro. You're too optimistic. All right, well, you be pessimistic and die. And then your life is over and you spent your whole life worrying and being negative. I'm optimistic because I know anything can happen. And I'm not optimistic telling you that we're going to hoist the Larry O'Brien trophy. That's different. I felt like that going into this season before we knew about Kyrie's situation, thinking that the roster we had was the best roster Nets fans had ever seen going into a season. I was thinking championship and parade then. Even when we made the trade and got Harden's bitch ass up out of here, I was thinking, okay, if Ben is ready to go, championship could still be on. But honestly, we have slipped so far down, it's going to be a hell of a climb to climb that mountain. What we would need is, I hate to say it, but it happens every single year, injuries to happen to some of our opponents that we might face. Every year, somebody goes down, right? Trae Young went down last year against the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals. Fluke injury, and it's like, they could have used him. Our own team, we lost Kyrie in Game 4. We lost Harden in Game 1. If we don't lose those guys, we advance. That's the only example you need. That will happen again. It happens every year in the NBA, right? Happens every single year, right? Kyrie, the year Kyrie was hurt, and Bron lost Kevin Love, and Bron was by himself against the Warriors. Oh, well, it is what it is. If we stay healthy, we have fresh legs. Kyrie missed the first 35 games. Ben Simmons ain't played all year. Dragic took 2 months off. Last night, Dragic looked like a 25-year-old, not a 35-year-old. We got time. And before we move on, I'll say the last things about the game last night that I have to say before we hit voicemails. It was a missed opportunity. The arena was live last night. Sellout. Almost 18,000 people in there. Yes, there were hella Miami Heat fans in there, but there always are. I don't know. That happens in Madison Square Garden, and that's happened in Barclays for years. Newsflash, the Miami Heat fans live here in New York amongst us. The Miami Heat have had a winning culture for years, from D. Wade and Shaq to D. Wade and the big three with LeBron and Bosh to who they have now with Bam, Tyler Hero, Jimmy Butler. You understand. Those fans are here. They're going to show up. They've been showing up for years, and it doesn't surprise me that they're here. But what surprised me was the hot start by the Nets. What surprised me was the complete change in the second half. I always say we're a second half team. I don't know what went on in that locker room. Second half was whack. It was just a rough night, man. All the excitement of Kevin Durant returning. We get the Joe Harris news. That sucks. Oh, the refs suck, but you know that. That's standard, so you can't blame the refs. They're bad every night. We missed so many shots on the court that's on the side that Mr. Whammy is on, not on the side that the Brooklyn Nets are on. I think it would technically be the south side of the court. We missed hella shots. It was a missed opportunity last night. KD is one man. And some of y'all got mad at me on Twitter for saying, hey, we could still fall into a 5-game losing streak with KD. If we lose on Sunday, that's 4. If we lose the next game after that, that's 5. And then we head to Philly, that could be 6 with a healthy Kevin Durant. It's not far-fetched. I was just looking at the schedule and being real with y'all. You expect KD to wear a cape and be able to absolve everything. He's one guy. He can't guard everybody. He's one man. He can't put up 50 a night to pull us out of, you know what I'm saying? I just watched enough basketball to know. So, we fucked up last night by keeping him on the bench too long. We fucked up last night by not knowing what defense to run. Dragic saying that some guys were switching and some guys were blitzing, and me physically seeing Kevin Durant looking around like the communication wasn't there, but that's okay. These guys are going to practice. Kevin Durant has been practicing, but they're going to practice more, and they are going to watch the film and figure that out. They are going to watch the film and get better. Guys like Seth Curry had an off night last night. It happens. Patty was on. L.A. at the 5 and Drummond at the 5 and no Claxton. I don't know if Claxton is still in the doghouse. It's been a whole saga for him this year. I don't think they trust him. I don't think they want him in at the end of the games. but I would feel a lot better with Claxton guarding Dedmon or whoever has the ball versus watching LA get cooked. It's okay. LA is the mid-range. We need him for his shooting. Defense, we don't need him for. Drummond had the scare against Toronto where we thought he sprained his knee. He came back last night. Of course, he wants to play with Kevin Durant. Maybe he wasn't ready. He didn't have a great night, but I don't know, man. I really don't have the answers for why that went that way last night. Besides, we're just not a well-coached team, and we're not a good team yet. Like, this is a new team. These are new Nets. When I saw it starting five, all right, my wrong mic was connected. See, technical difficulties. I was having trouble with this mic and this camera the whole day before I went live. But we're getting to the voicemails. We're getting to the end of the pod. Last thing I'll say about last night, hats off to Spo. I already did that in the beginning of the pod, so I'm not doing that again. But last thing I will say about last night is Kyrie Irving. We win that game with Kyrie. If Kyrie was allowed to play, Kyrie beats the zone. Kyrie finds spots. Kyrie will dribble around everybody in the zone and then magically pop up, raise up for a mid-range shot or get to a layup. And that's why you need him. And that's why the Nets are going to fight for him to play. That's why the Nets, his employers, are going to make sure they talk to the mayor in the state and say, we don't have a problem with it. What's your problem? Is this on us? Well, if it's on us, we don't care. So he's good. They'll talk to Adam Silver, who's also located in New York. If Adam Silver's good with it, good. What we need to happen this month is Kyrie full-time, Ben Simmons back. Beware the Ides of March. I think around the middle of March that can happen. I would absolutely love for the New York Knicks to face the Nets in Brooklyn and that be the first game that Kyrie Irving plays and potentially the first game that Ben Simmons plays. I don't know if the Nets are like that. I don't know if the Nets are going to stack, both of their debuts like that, but I can dream. I'm a Nets fan. Never dreamed that we'd be here this fast, but here we are. So, voicemails. Let's see. I have a few voicemails to play before we hit like the hour mark here. Appreciate y'all in the chat. I see y'all talking amongst yourselves and keeping it going, and I appreciate that. We will get to you after we play these voicemails and after I react to them. And what I expect is that these voicemails are just going to have me repeating a lot of the same stuff that I just said, but that's okay.
Wow. I mean, what do you even say about after these last two losses? Jacques Vaughn, he's shown.
So this first voicemail came in Thursday after the two Toronto losses, not last night's loss.
Wow. I mean, what do you even say about after these last two losses? Jacques Vaughn, he's shown why he's not going to ever get a coaching job in the NBA beyond this. The last two games just thoroughly outcoached, lack of adjustments. Toronto, when they couldn't score in the fourth quarter, he kept that big lineup out there. Mm-hmm. Tonight, after the second quarter, everything that had worked in the first half, he went away from it, went to James Johnson instead of Claxton, who was actually rotating well, defending well, being able to move with Adebayo. What do you even make of this? The last two games, like the alarms are going off for Nets world. There's no more resting on your laurels. Like we have 18 games left in the season and things are getting pretty dicey pretty fast. Kyrie, I don't know what's going to happen. Eric Adams, he's doing this whole PR stunt. He doesn't want him to play because of optics. Sai, he needs to say, to hell with you. I'm letting him play. Like he can attend Barclays without having a shot, but he can't play. Screw it. All bets are off. We're trying to win. Kyrie needs to play at home, and I'm going to do whatever I can to make it happen, and I dare you to stop me. Like, it's DEFCON 5 for the Nets right now. No more games. These last two losses are inexcusable, and it's getting into a point where they may not make the playoffs. I don't know what else to say.
Good voicemail. Heard you, bro. It's time for urgency. I've been saying that for the last couple weeks. It's time for urgency. It's time for urgency. After that second loss, I had a tweet where I said KD needs to play Thursday. I didn't say if KD plays Thursday, we win, but just to get the mojo going. It's time for urgency. KD is the franchise. He played. That's the first domino to fall. KD is back. The next two dominoes to fall are Ben Simmons' return and Kyrie Irving's return. Not sure which one happens first. And Jacque Vaughn, what do y'all expect? Like, Jacque Vaughn was our head coach during the whole bubble run. He's thrust into duty now because once again, COVID is fucking us over and the NBA is testing everyone for COVID for no reason. No one is sick. No one has symptoms. So our head coach, Steve Nash, who isn't much better than Jacque Vaughn, but he is our head coach. He can't coach the team in these crucial moments, in these crucial games, because he tested positive for COVID. For all we know, it could be a janky test. It's bullshit.
Yo, Keith, what's up? It's Big Fan Breezy. I was just calling to say, listen, I heard you on at the halftime. That was dope. You in the Capitol. I heard that. And also, Nick Claxton, Rack Attack Clax need to be in the game for defensive purposes because he could play the perimeter. He helps us on defense on the perimeter, and he could get back and help with the floor position on defense. Not playing Nick Clax when we held Miami to 23 points in the first quarter. He was essential, a big part of the reason on why we held them to 23 points in the first quarter. And once he got out the game, when you look at the box scores, they scored more than 23 points every quarter after that. Mm-hmm. So talk to me, Steve. What's going on with Jacque Vaughn and Steve Nash? I know you might walk past Steve Nash and Jacque Vaughn, man. Tell him I said what's up and tell him to play Nick Claxton and Day'Ron Sharpe, please.
Well, they sent Day'Ron down to the G League. That's not going to happen. And what I like is that Big Fan Breezy pointed out the last game in Miami where Kyrie almost willed us to victory late. He sucked in the beginning, but then he went crazy late. He went back to that game. We didn't use that game as data for this game. I guess we just came up with a new plan, Jacque Vaughn and those guys. I don't know. David Vanderpool, help us out, bro. Help us out. And I don't walk past those guys in Barclays, but if I did, I keep the same energy as I keep on the pod. Like, this pod is for Nets fans. It's not for the actual Nets. If they listen, cool. If the Nets organization listens, great. But, like, this is for us. This is for the fans that are in spaces all day, every day, talking about the Nets. These are for the fans that are spending their money on tickets. These are for the fans that are making parlays on the Nets, hoping the Nets win every night. These are for the fans that couldn't wait for us to get some superstars so that we could have a team that could compete for championships. Instead, in year 3 of KD and Kyrie, it's just drama, 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 and more drama. This is what it's like to go the superstar route.
Yo, what up, Keith? Love the grind, man. Love the shows. Rahala88, boy. Yo, listen, man. I'm going to tell you something about the Nets right now. I still believe that if we get in the playoffs, if we survive the play-in, we'll eventually be fine if everyone is healthy, if Kyrie's playing full-time and all that nonsense. But right now, it's not looking good. Like, the chemistry is trash right now. Like, we need these guys to get on the floor and have some minutes and do the grind and get that chemistry down pat. Another thing, can we please stop playing James Johnson? Like, look, I know the guy won us the game in Milwaukee and he's a vet, but gosh, bro, he cannot space the floor. Please stop playing James Johnson. Please, man. Tell me what's your thoughts on that, man. Love the show, bro. Keep it going, bro.
They're going to keep playing James Johnson because he's a veteran, because he can handle the ball. He can shoot a little bit. He does play defense. He does have some size, pause. I mean, that's why they got him. And he's played more minutes than I ever imagined him playing. We're definitely going to make the playoffs, y'all. We're not going to fall out of that. That would be an absolute failure. The Brooklyn Nets will not let that happen. And if you look at the schedule, it gets later in the season. Like, if it comes down to the last 4 or 5 games of the season for us, we're going to be just fine. Please look at the schedule. I encourage you all to look ahead. There's not that many games left. And what else did he say? James Johnson, Kyrie. The Kyrie thing is looming, but I don't know. I'm prepared for the Kyrie shit to continue. I'm prepared for the nonsense to continue. Life is not fair. Rules are put in place by people all the time that don't make sense. I'm black. I can speak to a lot of rules being put in place for black people not to succeed. I'm used to it. Let's play the last voicemail.
Yo, what's good, Keith? This Grease, bro. Yeah, man, that game last night, that was really bad in the second half. They started off really good in the first half. The ball movement, KD was firing on all cylinders, and then second half we just got out-coached by Spoelstra with that defensive zone that he was running. And then, yeah, man, that third quarter was really bad, bro. KD had a little cold stretch. He missed like 4 shots in a row, and then we got into that hole. We were like down by 10. And then, the Nets, like, they just, on defense, they couldn't tighten that up in the fourth quarter. But, yeah, that loss sucked, bro. We really should have took that one. I mean, no Jimmy B, no PJ Tucker. You got to take that one, man. That was really bad. But you know what? We got KD, and we just got to go on a hot stretch soon, bro. It just sucks, bro. We really need Kyrie back, man. This vaccine mandate is ridiculous, dog. Like, it makes no sense, dude. I really hope Sean Marks figures that shit out, because this shit is ridiculous. Because I guarantee you, if we had Kyrie Irving on the floor last night, that would have been a lot. We would have won that shit easily. But word, bro.
My bad. My my MacBook was about to die. I was like, oh snap, I gotta get under here and plug that back in. But yeah. That's it for the voicemails. Let's hit the chat. I saw somebody say something. I think Jethawk. He was like, you're tripping, bro. Nah, I'm not tripping, bro. I'm kicking you straight facts. But maybe he was talking to somebody else. All right, let's close this thing before we get to an hour. Been live now for like 48 minutes. Pod's probably going to be under an hour, which I'd like it to be under an hour. We don't need to spend forever being like, oh, my God, what are the Nets going to do? Oh, this sucks, man. It sucks being a Nets fan right now. Everything is an if. Oh, my God, this is the worst. Why is there so many problems? Kyrie, Ben Simmons. We should have kept James Harden. Sit tight, folks. I was telling somebody today, y'all don't watch movies, right? When you watch a movie, do you get up and leave as soon as it gets crazy, as soon as the person that you like in the movie goes through something? Or do you sit through and watch how the movie ends? You sit through and watch how the movie ends. You don't have to be optimistic that the movie ends the ideal way. You don't have to be optimistic that the movie has the ending that you want. It's not choose your own adventure. This is the NBA. Do you watch the Nets or no? As tough as it seems, we're lit. They lead SportsCenter off talking about the Nets. As frustrating as it is to be a Nets fan, you know what was more frustrating? Not being able to watch the Nets in the second half of games because they just blew leads or couldn't close. Or watching superstars come into Barclays Center and we don't have superstars and we consistently get beat and we don't have enough of a crowd to even kind of drown out the chance of the other team. Shit has changed. I'm fine with it. I understand. The Sixers are trust the process. Shit, we got a whole process over here too. All right, to the chat. You guys have been rocking the chat. Let me see. People talking about Dragic, William. Will Ben Simmons ever play in a Nets game? I've noticed his body language is terrible on the bench. He doesn't look happy. Oh, and that's why Jethawk said, you are tripping, bro. You are tripping with that. Do y'all go to the games? That's why I go to so many games. And, even with my job being on the radio, it's easier for me to do my job, which is the pregame halftime hit from the station. And then I'm on after the game where I have to travel back to the station. But I need to go to the game because there are things that you see at the game that they're hidden from the television. Saying that Ben Simmons has bad body language on the bench and doesn't look happy is so far from the truth. But I know that you probably read that on Twitter, or you probably saw one shot that somebody on national broadcast said, okay, go to the shot of Ben Simmons looking sad. Now, cue that up, put that on TV. Yesterday, I was pointing out to members of the Brooklyn Brigade in the BK block, I'm like, look at Ben. Ben is up every time out, every chance he gets. He's up off the bench, and he's not just up off the bench. He's dribbling the ball through his legs. He's looking like his back doesn't hurt, looking like he probably wants to get in there, looking like, damn, it's lit in this bitch. KD is back. I want to play with KD in front of this crowd. I want to get back into the NBA, so I have to knock that one down. I completely disagree with that. All right, y'all talking Dragic, man. Y'all don't miss Javon Carter? Dragic was good. He's a great piece for the team. Yes, and as much as y'all want to hate on Steve Nash, thank Steve Nash for Dragic coming here. That is the only reason you have this guy handling the ball and creating extra shots. Let's see. Oh, Jay from BK is here. Jay from BK, I'm awake, bro. My computer was going to die. I had to, I got this whole thing wired up in this place. We got lights. We got LED lights, cameras, mics. It's a little studio closet that I built, but there's a lot of tech in here. I had to make sure everything was straight. All right, what else y'all got? Izzy says, I'm looking at the bright side of everything. We just need to make the playoffs with everyone, and we can make a run at the chip. # not giving up. Exactly. And that's what I'm trying to tell y'all. We are getting in the tournament. We are getting in the dance. And March Madness is about to happen. And when March Madness comes and your bracket is busted because Loyola Chicago knocks off Kentucky or some shit, you're going to be like, damn, how'd that happen? It happens all the time. It's basketball. And different from March Madness, the NBA, they play series, 7-game series, where you could win the first 2 games and still lose the series, depending on how healthy you stay. Speaking about us, let's see. We ride regardless. Finn Leckie said we ride regardless. Exactly. We're Nets fans, bro. Like, we knew what was going to happen, right? We built to be able to attract the superstars. We went the superstar route. Deal with it. Will says, love the channel, Keith. Appreciate you, Will. Didn't mean to call you out about Ben Simmons, but I had to speak on it. Like, I was in the arena last night looking at Ben Simmons. Right. Jay from BK, who's also in the arena a lot, he says, William, Ben's body language has been excellent. Stop. Like, that's just not good for Nets fans to be saying that based off of, like, one camera shot on TV. We're all watching Ben, and Ben looks like he wants to play. Do you think the Nets are going to win the championship? I think that's not a question to ask right now. I don't know if the Nets are going to win the championship. I don't know if the Bulls are going to win the championship. I don't know if the Bucks are going to win the championship. If anything, I think the Suns are the favorite. They were there last year, and they're having a phenomenal year this year. And when they get Chris Paul back from a thumb injury, he's going to be rested and activated to play the rest of the way out. So if to answer your question, do I think the Nets are going to win the championship? I think the Suns have the best odds. But I noticed our odds went up after the trade. So somebody in Vegas, right? Nets fans think that we don't have a shot. Nets fans are talking about next year. Ugh, disgust me. Like quitting in March. Disgust me that y'all even move like that. Meanwhile, Vegas still has odds on the Nets winning the championship that moved from 600 to 500. So we have the best player in the world. How would you walk out on this movie? Exactly. Thank you. Some of y'all are starting to get it. I have to do a whole podcast for it to hit. Kevin Durant is on this team. Kevin Durant, someone asked me yesterday, how are you going to feel when Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving don't come back next season? I'm like, damn, like, why do y'all even say stupid stuff that you don't know about? Kevin Durant is here. Jared says, are they still going to beat the Sixers next week? We beat the Sixers in Philadelphia their opening night. Yes, we will rain on their parade again. They are good with Harden and Embiid, but y'all are going off of them playing the Knicks. All this hype around the Sixers, they're playing the damn Knicks. Come on. Like, let's chill out. They're a new team too. They're still figuring things out too. We'll have something for them with KD and Kyrie. If you can go to that game, go. I wish I could go. He's hopped off the bench celebrating like double-digit times. Exactly. I've seen Ben Simmons. Now that Ben Simmons has been around 3 weeks, going on 4 weeks, I think he's made some friendships. He's comfortable with guys. He's been a little different. Are the Nets wasting KD's prime? This is 3 seasons in and nothing to show for it. I wouldn't say they're wasting his prime. KD came here for a reason. This is his team. This is his era. I also wouldn't say there's nothing to show for it. Right? Look at the impact. Look at how much has changed, right? I'm on the radio, and there's people mad that there's another Nets fan on the radio, and I'm like, oh, that's just all part of this Nets world, baby. That's all that is. They can't play us anymore. They can't talk down on us anymore and act like we don't exist. We do have fans. Our arena is sold out. We do win games. We are going to be in the playoffs again. Remember in 2015, the shirt said we are playoffs. Basically, Brooklyn saying we go to the playoffs almost every other year, if not every year. The other team in New York does not. Dude, I thought we got Pinson back. Ben Simmons better play. Y'all talking about Theo Pinson? I laughed. I saw Theo celebrating with Spencer Dinwiddie, and he's like, you play better when you're on my team. I'm like, bro, you don't play. You're literally a cheerleader. That's okay, though. Shout out to Theo. He had a good run with us in the dancing bench mob. The only goal should be getting in the playoffs. Thank you. Kyrie and Ben will be there in the playoffs. Slow down, y'all. Take this shit game by game, week by week, especially as the season is becoming condensed. It's a new season. It's a new team, right? Luckily, we got those wins that we got in the beginning of the year. Why is the crowd volume on the Nets so different on TV? Feels like the crowd is half with the opponent, or is it really like that there? What you're hearing is, okay, like I just talked about, like the side that Mr. Whammy was on, right behind the Miami Heat bench. I have literally been at 3 games that I can recall where Miami Heat fans buy tickets in that area. Good. Thank you for helping out the Nets world. Please come and buy all the tickets you want. The tickets get priced out, and these guys, they show up. Last night's game was on Yes Network. I'm glad it was on Yes Network and not on a nationally televised station like TNT or ESPN, because I do feel like they produce the show more. And like, I went to school for television production. I understand that like they are broadcasting the game, but they are not giving you the true version of the game. They have commentators, they have news that they add, they go to different shots, they have different microphones. When I'm in Barclays, I see the setup of all the different cameras and microphones and stuff. So like, I think people also buy into too much, like, it doesn't fucking matter who's cheering. Like, people buy in too much to like, oh, Miami Heat chants. Yeah, these are the Miami Heat. Like, I don't know what people don't understand. Like, do you watch basketball? The Heat not only travel well, they have a ton of fans in New York, and they've been good for years. Okay, a couple more questions. How many of you would give Kyrie a max contract today? I would, because this bullshit is not going to matter, this mandate, for much longer. And Kyrie, like I said, just hired Sheila Irving, his stepmom, to represent him. What are they looking to do? They're looking to make the terms of his next contract. Kyrie lives in Jersey, probably like 20 minutes from me. He ain't looking to go play for the Sacramento Kings. So he's going to get a deal here. And, yeah. Case Boo says, Nets now, not next year. Exactly. It's now. It's now. I don't know why y'all talking about next year. I put a tweet out from Derek Jeter where Derek Jeter said, the worst phrase in sports is get him next year. That's too far from now. That's 12 months from now. Like, nobody wants to hear that. You're tripping if you're on that. All right, couple more. Yep, 7-Eleven return Sunday. Looking forward to that one in Boston. How fitting. You know, our saga continues with these Boston Celtics forever. Can you follow me on Twitter, Nets fans for life? No. They love to hate the Nets. Would you give Kyrie the contract? Yeah, I would give him the contract extension. Bro, no team has the depth we have. We just have to figure out these rotations as usual. Yes, Jed Hawk. Yeah, we do. It would help if we had Steve Nash. It would help if we had everybody available that we're going to have available sooner rather than later. Let's see. Just last questions. Let's see. Has anyone noticed PJ Tucker's face after Bruce Brown hit the 3 to cut it close? And if KD had hit those last 2 shots, he would have been scared, like when KD put up 48. Yeah, no, I didn't notice that, but like, whatever, we'll see. All right, that's all we got, y'all. We're at an hour on the stream. Appreciate y'all checking out Talking Nets. Appreciate y'all subscribing to Talking Nets. Hit like before you leave. Hit like right now. Boom. Hit that little thumbs up. That helps us look good out here. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I'm going to keep this going for the rest of the season. There are conversations going on. I'm trying to get this podcast sponsored by someone or something. I'm having the conversations. It's turned business now, but I'm going to keep it going for us, for the Nets fans. The Nets fans helped me get to where I am on New York Sports Talk Radio. I'm not going to abandon this podcast. So, last but not least, I actually, asked for reviews. I asked for you guys to write reviews, and we did get a nice review. Let's see if I can put it on the screen. Man, where's it at? Because we did get a hater review, and I appreciate a hater. I'm telling you, nobody is more of a fan of a hater than me. I try and psychoanalyze these haters. Like, why y'all hating on me? y'all hating on the wrong guy. I mean, I get it. When you great, you get hate. If you're watching the Kanye doc, Memphis Bleak says that. When you great, you get hate. But y'all need to learn how to salute people. Okay, here's the nice review. And writing reviews helps because we need 5 stars. And when people check out Talking Nets on Apple Podcasts, they want to say, how many episodes do you have? How many reviews do you have? How long you been doing this? I've been doing this now for 3 years. Tito Lopez, shout out to you. Tito Lopez says, dedicated podcast. Been following the pod and Keith for nearly 2 years, and despite all the changes, the podcast has maintained its consistency. You should give it a try if you haven't heard it, or if you consider yourself a Nets fan. Hey, that's your words, not mine, and I appreciate you for listening, Tito, and I appreciate you for taking the time to write that. Real recognize real, and that's all we've got. Call the voicemail 201-870-0461 after the game. If you got something to say and you want to be heard on the pod, leave it to a minute or less. And, I'll see you guys at the Clays. No one calls it that anymore. I'll see you guys at Barclays. I'll see you guys at Barclays Center. I'm going to start calling it BC. I'll see y'all at BC. And I'll be on the air tonight for 5 hours. I'm going to do a football Friday. But if you call up, we could talk Nets. And keep supporting Talking Nets on Twitch, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on YouTube. Once again, my name is Keith McPherson, and you know how we end this. We'll be all right, Nets world. Let's go Nets. Let's go Nets. Let's go Nets. Brooklyn. We go hard.